Let's go visit the dude with the big scary house out in the middle of nowhere. What could possibly go wrong?
So glad you decided to come.
John.
John.
This is my wife, Sarah.
Lovely to meet you.
It's really perfect.
I'd like to give the house to you with one simple condition. You must never open the cellar door.
We can't stay here. We gotta get out.
The house, it has its secrets.
Ever since we moved into the house, everything has gone to shit.
I'm trying to protect you. Looking into a missing persons report.
All you had to do was just stay away.
No, John!
Enough!
Vaughn, how are you, man?
I'm very good. Good to meet you, Ruben.
My pleasure. As a director, as a creator, what do you think is the metaphor behind houses and the genre of thriller and horror? Because for me, it's super curious how the basically American filmography, American movies use houses as another character inside those movies.
It's a great question. I think for me it all stems back to it's the haunted house motif, right? It is that idea that I think is very rooted in like American Gothic, which kind of comes out of that sort of like the Penny Dreadful era of like, you know, sort of decanted Victorian, the UK and Europe specifically. And it's almost like a childlike fear. It's like the haunted house on the hill, you know, the Dracula's castle, like
the Psycho one.
Exactly. Yeah. Like Psycho is like the perfect motif for it, right? And I think when you take that sort of that childhood trauma from those scary stories and you put it into an adult setting, right? Like I think that's a really big part of why the scary house, for the haunted house in adult movies, you know, in psychological thrillers or dark thrillers, whatever they might be, something like Cellar Door, we are using those fears of childhood and applying it in a sort of more adult setting.
Yeah, and a huge free house. They come with a mystery because nothing is coming for free. So it's like treating a child with a marshmallow story. Like you give a marshmallow to a kid, but you leave it alone. So you give this beautiful house to these two people, but you say, "Don't go here." Of course, human nature is about curiosity. And yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. That is the thing. Like those stories, those parables, those fairy tales, like they are cautionary tales, right? They're designed to teach us a lesson.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's the thing. Like I love scripts that have that folkloric quality to them, right? Like I love dark fairy tales. I love it when there's a simplicity to the story that we get to play with it in the thriller space. It's full of twists and turns and surprises and rug pulls. Like I love that as a filmmaker. I love it as a viewer. But there's a simplicity. There's a through line to it, right? Like it's a cautionary tale. It's the Faustian bargain. It's a story as old as the Old Testament. It's the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve. Like, if you are tempted, what do? Do you resist temptation or do you embrace it? And yeah, like it's such a simple, it's a simple parable that we built a very, what I hope is a very successful contemporary thriller on top of.
For you as a director, how it's more difficult or easier to shoot in a one location, because most of the things happen in the house and you have to use every aspect of the house to create an atmosphere. It's easier for you to work with a cinematographer to create that ambience of safety at first, and then little by little, like a drop, to give us hints of what's going on, or you prefer to work outside and outdoors?
I mean, I love both. Like I think the thing is there's an element of control to chamber pieces, to claustrophobic thrillers that I really enjoy. You can do so much subtly, you know, like, you know, for this house, like for one character, for Sarah, she blossoms, she flourishes, like her life becomes complete is in this house. But for John, it's the opposite. His life falls apart from the moment he moves into it. And the ability to tell that story subtly and to have control of all of the different things, you know, the lighting, the practical lights, the color of dressing, the way that we position furniture to make the frame feel warm and inviting or claustrophobic and cold. I love being able to do that. And Michael Merriman, my DP, he is incredible. Like his visual storytelling is beautifully composed in that way. And I think I do love that. But I love I love it all, really. Like I do love being outside, and I love, having to move fast and having, the wilds of nature to kind of express with. That's also wonderful. I think for a story like this, though, you need the control. You need those gothic qualities that we were able to get from the house. Like it was a character in the film. It did so much heavy lifting for us in terms of storytelling and characterization. Sorry.
But it turns gothic while the movie is advancing, because at first it's very shiny, it's very bright, everything's so great because this is what the character feels. But then when things start getting complicated, and I love the frames from above, like it feels like we are in it, like we are like witnessing what they live in, like we are like this ghost that's happening in the house. And something that really got my attention, not just for this movie, also with your filmography, is like how important for you is the cast, how involved you are as a director in choosing your cast, and because you have worked with stars, but also you have gave them unique characters. Because Scott has been working Strangers, for example, and I love Strangers, and Jordana has been action movies, drama, and everything. You have worked with my God, with Simon Pegg, like actors we name, but they've been involved in your project in thriller and horror. So how important is for you as a director to be involved in that selection of your cast and your crew?
I mean, for me personally, like it's everything. Like casting is key. Like we as filmmakers can provide so much in terms of raw material and composition, and the way we frame, the colors we choose, the music we choose, all of the ancillary stuff, the mise en scène, all of that we can control. But when you put world-class actors in front of the lens, when you've got Jordana and Scott and Laurence and Addison and this incredible ensemble that we had, it pops. Like they can do more, like with a roll of their eye, or like the way they throw a line, than we can do like with 100 hours of prep. Like that's the magic. That's the alchemy of casting. When you have like Jordana and Scott were just phenomenal. Like, they are incredibly talented, incredibly disciplined, really warm, really easy to work with. Like they were so important to the hopeful success of this movie. And it was also just to be able to rely on their subtlety, to be able to rely on how brilliant they are, that they can do so much with a look, or like I say, like the way they throw a line. And they gave me all this variation. Like I would give them notes, they would try it. Like when I got to the edit, I had so much to choose from to build the story, to layer the intrigue and the deceit and the story into, And then when you have Laurence on top of that, when Laurence Fishburne, like this,
yeah, exactly,
this dynasty, to be able to work with him, and that character is really important. Like that Mephistophelian character, that reclusive millionaire who makes them this offer they cannot refuse. Like it needed to be believable to the audience, and Laurence gave it that. He has such gravitas, he has such character, and that voice, that rich baritone voice. He was the perfect Emmett. He elevated it brilliantly.
I agree. Every time that he showed up in camera, it was worth it. And something important that I love about, and you mentioned how the intrigue it's been like increasing while the movie advanced, is the music. I love how you use music. And I wonder, how was the processing of creating music? Because it's not that kind of music that scares you. It's a music that is building something in you, but the use is subtle. It's not like abusing, like you let character to soak their character in per se. And but how was the process of creating the music? You created, or you were part of it during the processing of editing, or after the movie was done?
It is so. Marlon Espino, who's the composer, my composer, who I've worked with across these last three films, he's astonishing. He's incredibly talented, incredibly giving, and he has no vanity. Like it's all in service of the story. And with him, like what I wanted, we talked a lot about this idea of like a haunted quartet, like taking like sort of almost chamber music that can be incredibly beautiful and delicate and genteel, and sort of cannibalizing that, like metastasizing that, so it became something else. And the story starts very, full of grief and trauma. Like we wanted to be respectful and serve those characters and honor those character beats. Like, they go through this very sad miscarriage, these characters. And then as the story changes, what we wanted to keep the same instrumentation, and we wanted it to grow and change and darken. And he just did such a beautiful job of, like you say, we didn't want to make, it's not supposed to be scary. It's not supposed to be scares and in your face. It's supposed to, well, for us to give an audience this sort of this sense of being unsettled, this kind of creeping dread that just builds and builds and builds and serves for that crescendo moment, for the big reveal, like all great genre films have to have.
No, and kudos also to your editor, to the editor. It's an outstanding work. Vaughn, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations. I think the movie is fantastic. It's really fun. I had fun watching it last night, and it's a result of your work, of course. Thank you so much, man.
It is thank you, man. Thank you.